If you even try and tell me you knew that I was going to end up at Hamilton Academicals, you're a liar, because I had no idea this is where we'd end up. Never even dreamt of coming to Scotland, but here we are. We had interviews at Stuttgart, we had interviews at a couple of Italian clubs, we applied for jobs in France, there was a couple of other jobs in Germany. Nothing came up in England. They were the only ones that came up with the teams that got relegated from the Championship. Not interested in any of that. And this was the only job that came up in Scotland. Other than that, there was bits and pieces in obscure European places that realistically I wouldn't move to, whereas Scotland is not too far away. Talking of places where I would move to, we are going to be living the high life up here in Scotland. Look at this. This is just ridiculous. They've almost trebled the wages I was on at Southend, and we've gone from being on around about £2,000 a week to £5,500 a week. As far as I'm concerned, that puts us in the bracket of being able to buy £1 million houses. So yeah, we've bought ourselves a nice little 7-bedroom, exceptional detached modern house with a dining kitchen, a gym, sauna, garage, garden, games room, 5 public rooms. What on earth does that mean? I don't even know. Yeah, I don't know if I'm ever going to leave Scotland. This is utterly ridiculous, but I don't care about being a legend at clubs anymore. I don't care about winning matches. Look at my house. I'm set up for life, and I'm not even 40 years old. This is ridiculous. Hello and welcome to Season 7, Part 1 of Non-League to Legend. I'm Kev, and coming up on today's episode, we've got a few transfers, a little bit of transfer business going in and out of Hamilton, and then we have our first game of the season, or our first league game of the season anyway, which is at home against Hibernian in the Scottish Premier League, or Premiership, or whatever it's called. We've already played 3 rounds of some weird cup competition, which I assume is the equivalent of the League Cup. We won our group because we were the only Premiership team in it. That happened, let's have a look, fairly comfortably, although we did need penalties to beat Annan, whoever they are. They're probably, what are they? League One club, which is the equivalent of part-time non-league stuff, is it, in Scotland? I don't know how Scotland works. I'm also going to need people to explain to me as soon as possible in the comments how the Scottish League works, because I know there's this weird bit where towards the end of the season it sort of splits in half. But I don't really get how that works. Does it? I don't know if it explains it in here for me anywhere. It doesn't really. So I'm going to need you to let me know what actually happens, how it all works. It's all very confusing. A bit of background on Hamilton. They're only still in the league because they won the relegation playoff last season. So stayed in the league by the skin of their teeth. But then just decided to start throwing money around like it wasn't important anymore. So they brought in this up-and-coming young English manager, gave him £6 million of transfer budget to spend. This is a club who haven't spent £6 million previously. I don't want to show you the transfer history just yet because it will show you what we've done this season. But we've still got £1.5 million left, and I can't find anyone to spend it on. We're just throwing money around now. I might give it to my new director of football, who is an absolute hero of mine, and it makes it even more fun that I've made it to Hamilton. Where does he live on there? There we go, look. My director of football, the greatest footballer I have ever seen perform in a Peterborough United shirt, Sir George of Boyd. I mean, yeah, I'll just stay. If he stays, I stay. I'll stay here forever. I'm working with George Boyd. I'm living in a mansion. I've got loads of money to spend. It doesn't get any better than this. This is ridiculous. I guess before we go any further, we do need to address something that has already come from the comments yesterday, and it is a bit of a confusing thing. And that is, how have I ended up at Hamilton after back-to-back promotions with Southend? The Championship season was the highest league position Southend have ever achieved. We had 3 seasons of massive overachievement with next to no budget. No one wanted me. I only got 3 interviews all summer. One was with Hamilton, one was with Stuttgart, who got relegated from the German First Division. So that would have been a almost like-for-like move. Standing-wise, obviously Stuttgart are a much bigger team in Southend, but they're playing at the same sort of level as Southend next season. And then one was at a team that got relegated from Serie A in Italy, and neither of those two wanted me. Hamilton were the only team that offered me a job. They did say in all the launch stuff for Football Manager this year that it would be harder to make the step up from clubs to club and work the way up the non-league to legend way. It seems to have all been done the wrong way around, though, because we managed to make that leap from Gainsborough to Southend without too much difficulty, when I didn't really deserve the 2-division jump-in job. Whereas now, when in real life, mid-table Premier League teams would be falling over themselves to bring me in as manager after the 2 years we've had, or 3 years we've had, and all we can do is get to a team that barely managed to stay in the Scottish Premier League. But everyone else's loss is our gain, is Hamilton's gain. We're going to get them into Europe, and we're going to have probably no more than 2 or 3 seasons at this club. It's not going to be a long-term thing. I don't imagine this being a long-term Scottish Premiership save, but it would be nice to win one of the cup competitions. It would be nice to get them into Europe. I don't know what their highest league finish is, but it would be nice to start to build a bit of a reputation as a manager who takes teams to their highest league position. How do you even see that? Where's records? Highest league position. Where is it? There you go, 4th. So if we can get up to 4th place, or a 3rd place finish, really, does that get you into the Champions League in Scotland? Should we have a 3-year plan to get Hamilton Academicals into the Champions League, highest league position, and then move on somewhere else and go and learn our trade? I think that's probably what we'll do. Let's get into some transfers before I just collapse in yet another coughing fit. I don't know what it is. I've barely coughed all day. I might be allergic to this pop filter. Ever since I've had this, I can't talk. I mean, can you be allergic to a pop filter? Is that a thing? So, transfers, the big thing, it was weird the way they set up the budget. So they gave me £6 million of transfer budget to spend, but only £55,000 of wage budget. So the first thing we did was double the wage budget, which brought the transfer budget down significantly. But then our first choice goalkeeper got sold out from under me. This deal went through within a day of me arriving at the club, so I think it was already in motion, or met a high minimum fee release clause or something along those lines. But it looks like this was quite a good goalkeeper. Otso Virtanen has been at the club for 4 years, joining from Hibernian for the princely sum of £31,500. 4 years later, sold on for nearly £1 million to Sion in Switzerland. So he's moved on. So the first thing I did was, when in doubt, bring in a familiar face, Norberto Miguel. I wasn't convinced he was going to be good enough for another year at Southend, but I think he is good enough for a year at Hamilton. So we give him another bit of development time. If I'm not on his favoured personnel list yet, I don't understand the world. I'm not. How am I not his favoured personnel? He's unflappable as well. I should be his hero. We'll work on that. I'm just taking him around club to club with me. He's the only Southend player we've brought across. We did have an offer accepted for £2.5 million for Martel Taylor-Crossdale, but I thought, that's our whole budget gone on one player who's no better than the superstar youngster that we've got at the club, because we've got a real up-and-coming Scottish superstar, if I can remember his name. He's injured at the moment. In fact, we can probably sort this by potential, and it is... I don't remember his name. There he is, Matthew Knox. 22 years old. He's already played 1 game for Scotland, scored 1 goal, 3.5-star current ability, 4-star potential ability. But he's already a good player for most Scottish Premiership sides. He's going to be a leading Scottish Premiership striker in the future. He had a good season for us last year. 8 goals. He'll get treble that this year. Scored a hat-trick in one of the cup games. I decided to back him and then go out and buy a squad, rather than spend it all on Taylor-Crossdale and not have much left. Plus, he wanted so much money in wages as well. So in the end, this is what we've done. We've not gone nuts, so we've only spent £2 million, leaving us £1.5 million to spend in January when we get to it. I'm not going to go into all these players in great detail because there's so many of them. Plus, we've got a whole squad to meet. You'll get used to them all as we go through. Obviously, if you want to see any more about them as we go through, just pause and have a little look. So Ben Sterling, a midfield utility man, comes in for about 200 grand, I think, £245,000 from Ross County. He's young. He's got, he's all right. He's fine. He's not the best player in the world. He's probably not going to be a regular starter, but I really wasn't sure what kind of standard we were aiming for. He was my marker, my sighter, him and Hope Akpan, and we realised this is the kind of quality we should be looking for, just maybe a little bit younger. So he comes in on a free transfer from Blackburn, having played in the Championship for a long time, lots of experience, 30 years old. Doesn't really fit into the promising youngster category that I've been asked to bring players in for, but a little bit of experience in the midfield isn't going to do anybody any harm. We then continued my policy of signing young Scottish players because it seems like the sensible thing to do. So Jim McBride, 22-year-old attacking midfielder, 3-star current ability, 4-star potential ability, comes in from Rangers for just over 200 grand. And also Peter McNulty, who's Irish but came from Celtic, so as far as I'm concerned still meets the criteria. 21 years old, 2.5-star current ability, 4.5-star potential ability, a young striker who is going to have goals in him at some point, maybe not this year, but will score goals for us eventually. Ryan Hardy is another Scottish young-ish player. He's 25 years old, 3.5-star current ability, not really going to get any better than that, but he's been at Rangers all his career and has scored goals for Rangers in the Premier League. So I think potentially we've got a bit of a gem there and could weigh in with a lot of goals for us this season. Matty Cash is a young midfield player who came in from George Boyd's old club, Burnley. This was Georgie Boyd's recommendation for a player to bring in. Burnley paid £2.5 million to bring this lad in from Nottingham Forest, and he didn't even make it to double figures of games played before they released him on a free transfer. He obviously had something about him as a youngster. He can play anywhere in the centre of midfield, defensive, normal or attacking, and I think he's going to be an excellent signing for us, mainly because George Boyd told me he would be, and what George Boyd says goes. Remember that. Ethan Hamilton came in from Bristol City, a Scottish midfielder / left back / striker / right winger. He can just play anywhere. 4-star current and potential ability. Another utility man, another Scottish player. He's driven in pursuit of his goals. He seems exactly the kind of player that we want. He's been at Bristol City just for a year after leaving Aberdeen, and before that Manchester United, so plenty of pedigree and experience there. He's got experience playing in the Scottish Premiership and playing well, and he's done that full season at Bristol City as well, so he seems like an obvious player to want to bring in. Hugo Logan is going to be our Jonathan Benteke. Central attacking midfielder, 23-year-old Irishman, 3.5-star current ability, 4-star potential ability, already worth £800,000. He was at Wolves reserves last year in the Championship, having previously been at MK Dons, who sold him for over £1 million to Wolves when they were in the Premier League. So another one who looked like he had a bright future ahead of him, hasn't really fulfilled it so far, but is now at a club where he's going to get game time and the opportunity to show just how good he is. And then we're getting into the Kev's got loads of money left to spend, let's just start throwing it around and see what sticks. So we brought in Nishan Burkhardt, a 22-year-old Swiss striker from Blackburn, 3.5-star current ability, 4-star potential ability. This is the guy I brought in when I decided not to bring in Taylor Crossdale. He's been at Blackburn last season, where he scored 9 goals in 24 games. He's previously been on loan at Huddersfield. He's been at Man United. So pedigree, expectations of greatness, and a little bit of experience. He might work. He might turn into be a big expensive flop. We spent a lot of money on him. And then lastly, Mark Brown, 21-year-old English right back or midfield player, coming in probably as a reserve player. 3-star current ability, 5-star potential ability, has started at Spurs. Watford then spent big money for him, well, big-ish money for the level. Maybe it wasn't big money at all, it was a bargain, but they sent him straight out on loan for 3 years, where he spent the last couple of years playing in the Championship, so should be good enough to be a squad player for us, and if he can start to fulfill some of that potential, could be a very good signing. There's still a lot of money to spend. There'll probably still be more players coming in, and of course, we're going to be playing this tactic. And this is the team that we've got for our first game of the season. So we've got Miguel in goal. We know all about him. A back four of Grant Gillespie, who is a Hamilton legend. He had his testimonial this summer, has been here his entire career, played over 350 games for the club, can play right back or central midfield. He's going to play right back for us today. He'll probably play in midfield more often than he plays at right back. But look, he's playing right back today, all right. And then at left back, we've got Luke Leahy. Don't really know how to say his name. 29-year-old English left back. Again, been at Hamilton a decent amount of time, lots of experience. Kenny McCann is a youngster who I think has come through the Hamilton youth team. Oh, no, he didn't. They signed him last year from Kilmarnock. I mean, that's a nice little buy. 19 years old. Got 4.5-star potential ability. We've got a lot of good young defenders at this club, and he is definitely one of them. Oren Jackson is 23-year-olds. He's a 23-year-old Scottish centre-back as well, worth £1 million already. He came in from NK Dons last year. Another example of bringing in decent young defenders. We've got another one who's not in the team today, but has been chased by West Ham all summer. They've been throwing money around trying to get Steve McIntosh. He's suspended today. 18 years old. He is the one who came through our youth team. Current ability is only 3.5 stars, or only for an 18-year-old. 5-star potential ability. He's never played a game for Hamilton. Spent last year on loan at Dundee, which seems odd because they're a fellow Premiership team and we were in a relegation battle. But he's already our best defender. He's only 18. He's going to be brilliant if we can keep hold of him. Having him and McCann in defence together, that's a good young partnership. Did anyone else spot who was in on trial just there as well? Maybe. I haven't decided yet. He's here on trial at the moment. Don't read anything into it. Then in midfield, we've got Ethan Hamilton, who is another player who's been at... of course, he's the one we brought in from Bristol City. I'm still learning their names. Leave me alone. Ben Sterling and Ho Pakpan. So they're all players we've brought in, as is Hugo Logan. So we've met all them already. And then Ryan Hardy and Nishan Burkhardt up front, who again are both players that we've signed. So you've met them already. We're just desperately trying to train a 4-3-1-2 from Southend into this team at the moment. So we'll see how we get on. We did okay in these cup games, but this is our first test of the season in the Scottish Premiership at home against Hibernian. Right, let's get into the game then. I have no idea what to expect. I don't know if we're going to be any good. Graham Coughlin, by the way, who was my assistant manager at Southend, took over as Southend manager and then proceeded to release Raquel Pike on a free transfer. So read into that what you will. Hibernian are favourites for today's game. Like I say, last season we only survived by the skin of our teeth, winning the relegation playoff. I don't care about that. But we have a completely rebuilt midfield and attack. The defence didn't need much work. That's why we've just brought in a few players who can fill in some gaps and maybe be backup players for us. But I think as first choice players and backup players in defence, we're pretty well covered. The keeper was good, but obviously disappeared. We should have scored from that corner. But I think Miguel's going to be good enough for this level, hopefully. If not, we've got money to spend on a goalkeeper this time at least. And I'd like to think that the players we've brought into the midfield and the attack, along with a couple of decent young talents who are already at the club, should be enough. But I don't really know what the golfing quality is like between the top and the bottom of the Scottish Premier League. I think this squad is roughly equivalent to the Southend squad we had last year, so would be good enough to finish mid-table in the Championship. I don't know where a mid-table Championship team finishes in the Scottish Premiership. Obviously, they're not Rangers or Celtic. I don't know how good the rest of them are, though. Hibernian, hopefully one of the good ones, because we're 1-0 down now. And we haven't really looked like creating anything so far. We're still trying to get our head around this exciting new tactic that we brought up from the south. Look how excited he is on the bench. He's over the moon, and I don't really know why, because we're about to concede a goal, but he's loving it. Yeah, Miguel's wearing a short sleeve shirt. I don't know how I feel about that in Scotland either. It's cold up here. You need to keep your arms warm, young man. I mean, our front three have shown nothing so far, which is a worry when one of them cost us £750,000. But I think we'll just take them all off. And hopefully that'll be a lesson to them. Let me bring these two on. So I don't know which way around we play these. It doesn't look like it makes much in the way of difference. We'll do it that way. Brothy, Eamon Brophie, who knows? He was here when I arrived. He's going to be gone before long. He's been at Hamilton all his career, but he's never going to be any good. In fact, no, he left and then came back. He's still never going to be any good. Whereas McNulty, I think he's the lad we brought in from Celtic. So he is going to be good. So fingers crossed. Between the two of them, they can muster up a goal and get us back into this game. We don't want to start the season with a defeat. That just makes everybody sad. But it's definitely going to happen now. So we're 2-0 down with 15 minutes left on the clock. We are rock bottom of the league. I don't like this whole only having 12 teams in the division nonsense. Miguel should have done a little bit better with that. Perhaps we need to be bringing in a goalkeeper. As usual, with the first day of the season, let me know down in the comments what you think of my transfer business. I know you've only had a little tour of the squad, but if there's anywhere you think we really, really do have to strengthen, make sure you let me know. Akpan should have scored there. We've actually had more clear-cut chances than Hibernian. We are being mugged. Muggings also happen abroad. And yeah, we are abroad. We're in a different country. Right, Logan can come off as well. And we're going to bring Doherty on because he's the club captain. So let's see if he's any good. And I mean, we've got 10 minutes to try and get back into the game. McNulty loses the ball. But we have had those 2 clear-cut chances. So there's encouraging signs there. We've had more possession, more shots, more clear-cut chances. We've not actually had a shot on target. Oh, and that was poor. And that's clearly what we need to work on. But we now have 3 clear-cut chances to Hibernian's 1. We just need to work on scoring goals, which hopefully once Knox is fit again, we'll be able to sort out. Maybe. Oh, I don't know. That wasn't the start I was hoping for. Let's just have a little look at the squad so you can see the team report. That's what we want. So you can see the squad depth. So you can give me a better idea of what you think we need to strengthen. So that's what we've got up front. I think we're probably okay there. It'd be nice to get a real natural defensive forward. A Raquel Pike maybe. Hugo Lauren is miles better than everyone else there. Perhaps a backup player for attacking midfield would do well. I think we're pretty well covered in central midfield now. And this is what I'm saying about the defence. We've got 5 good centre-backs. Decent cover at full-back. Maybe another left-back wouldn't hurt. And I think probably we need to strengthen in goal. But there's still a month left before the transfer window closes. So we've got time to bring a couple more players in. And we'll have to see what happens, I guess. And that's that. There you go. We're playing in Scotland. Remember to tell me how the Scottish leagues work because I haven't got a clue. And if you've enjoyed that, make sure you pop a like on there for me. If we could get it to 500 likes for the first episode of a new chapter in Non-League to Legend, that would be awesome and much appreciated. Subscribe to the channel if you'd like to see more. And thank you very much for watching.